with Kawhi missing both games 3 and 4 for the Clippers, is this load management thing coming back to bite the Clippers, knowing Kawhi's injury history, especially with the knee issues that he's been dealing with over the last couple of years?
I think load management's a crock of shit, man. A lot of former athletes are talking about it, former NBA players, even current players like Anthony Edwards, albeit he's only 21 years old, so he's still got a lot left in the tank. He's a lot more, I guess, healthy, less mileage on the body. But I mean, like you go to the NBA to play the games. I mean, it's like that famous NFL meme that you play to win the game, right? That's what Herm Edwards said at the podium as the head coach, I think, of the Jets or whatever the hell it was at the time. But the point of what I'm getting at is you go to the league to make it, to play in these games, and you want to make it to the playoffs to compete for a championship. Load management is to prevent back-to-back nights, to save your best players for the postseason, to less expose them or the less potential of injuries. Kawhi Leonard missed about, I think, 29, 30 games this year. Paul George missed about 25, 26 games due to load management. And then, of course, the final couple games for Paul were because of the injury to his knee. But you rest them, you keep them out of regular season games, you rehab them, you keep them away from whatever their reasoning is, whatever the purpose of load, it ain't working. You trying to keep them, it ain't working. We paying you $40 million, it ain't working. The Clippers went out and gave everything up for Kawhi and Paul George, and they have gotten to the Western Conference Finals one time. They're about to get bounced out of the first round because your superstar can't stay healthy. Your superstar is missing a multitude of games, multiple years in the past. Obviously, the ACL is totally different. We understand when you rupture your ACL, tear your ACL, Achilles, anything like that. We understand you can't play. Not talking about the ACL, but when we talk about load management to prevent injuries, to keep stars fresh, the concept of it is beyond me because it's not working. The people you are trying to preserve still get hurt. Braun is 38 years old. Load management for him is a little different because he's had a couple of miscellaneous injuries between the groin, the knee, the foot. But there were some nights where they rested him. Anthony Davis, again, is another outlier because he's actually always injured as well. But when it comes to these two superstars outside of the ACL, Kawhi Leonard's always dealing with something. You go and you give him the extension that I don't think that he needed, I think a year or two ago, to commit him to LA for another 2-3 seasons, and he cannot stay healthy. If Kawhi Leonard plays in these two games, I think this is a complete reversal. I think the Clippers actually lead this series 3-1 because you got Russell Westbrook out here going back-to-back 30-point games. The people that continue to slander him have no concept of what they're talking about when it comes to the sport of basketball. Did he take 29 shots? Yes. But when you look at the remaining stat line, nobody else really did shit outside of Norman Powell, who scored 14. Yeah, Terrence Mann at 13, but I'm not worried about him from an offensive standpoint. He'll hit a couple open shots if he's available. But again, Russell Westbrook was the savior to keep this game close. And I have to give a shout out. Tyronn Lue is probably one of the best coaches, if not arguably the best coach in the NBA for what he's able to do with less. Both superstars are out, and each and every game has been relatively close in this series. You talk about 115 to 110. Obviously, the Suns blow the Clippers out in the second game, but Kawhi goes for 30-something, if not 38 points in that second. No, 33 points in the second game. That was the only blowout. But without Kawhi in games 3 and 4, it's 129, 124, and then 112 to 100. Relatively close. The fact that he's getting the most out of these players without their superstars present. I think Norman Powell dropped like 30 points last game in game 3. Norman Powell, no disrespect, but that's not Paul George. That's not Kawhi Leonard. Those aren't your best players. And the Clippers are winning. Or excuse me, they're losing by close margins. My bad. Yes, Kevin Durant's on the other team. Yes, Devin Booker's on the other team. And Chris Paul at 8. We know what they have. We know Torrey Craig is playing well. But when you put Kawhi Leonard in this system, in this team, as it currently states, I think they win this game. I'm not saying if you're injured, play through it, but we're talking about the concept of load management. Clearly, it's not going to make a difference. In my opinion, call it old-fashioned, call it naive, call it somebody that doesn't know about science, medical history, the body, whatever. But I'm of the mindset of you got to keep your body going so that it's not going to become brittle. It's like what they always say with kids. You got to let them play outside. You got to let them fall. You got to let them get used to getting back up and get their immune system acclimated to not being able to get sick or fighting through sicknesses without medicine. I think the same thing applies with sports. If you're going to take the athlete out of the athletic situation to prevent injuries, well, when they get back in the game and they haven't consistently been playing at a regular pace, I feel like injuries are more likely to happen just because your body's not used to it. You're not playing every game. You're not playing every other game. You're sitting here playing once a week, twice a week. Bro, it's 82 games, and you're out here missing 25 to 30 games for the last couple of seasons. Again, excluding the ACL when we talk about Kawhi Leonard. I'm about tired of this whole load management or rest. It shouldn't be a thing unless you're literally going like 3-4 weeks straight, 2-3 weeks straight of no breaks and consistent travel where you're like, yo, bro, I'm tired. I'm feeling it. That's fine. A rest every couple weeks is good. But when you're talking about missing a game every other week, missing a few games every other, that's ridiculous. You're getting paid $30-40 million. You got fans spending hundreds of dollars in tickets to come see you play. And you're not playing because you're resting? Really? Dude, Kyle just talked about it at the very top of the episode. Hockey players out here is getting 75 stitches. Hockey players losing teeth. Hockey players are out here getting punched in the ribs, elbowed in the whatever the case may be. And they're finishing games. You have no excuse to not be playing. I'm not saying that Kawhi isn't hurt, but if you're able to go, if you were able to play through it in game 2, dude, I know that there's things in the medical staff that can help you, whether that's a brace, whether that's medication, whatever it is you have to do to be available for your team in the playoffs. Because at the end of the day, right, let's say he don't play game 5. You played 2 games and you lost 1 out of those 2. Why are you on this team if you're not available? People were making fun of Kristaps Porzingis because he couldn't stay healthy. People were making fun of all these different NBA players because they can't stay healthy. Kawhi Leonard out here, and he's playing half the season? Really? And we paying you how much money? I'm not having it anymore. I think the load management's a crock of shit. I think you should be playing as many games as possible because clearly preventing your body from injury or lessening the percentage of risk and injury, does it matter? I don't think so.